Hello, everyone, and thank you for taking some time out of your schedule today for our How to Do Dynamics GP Processes in Dynamics 365 Business Central Part 2 webinar. My name is Tess, and I'm the facilitator today. Before I pass it over to our presenter, I want to remind you that if you have any questions during the webinar, please type them into the questions area in the control panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. This session will be recorded and shared with you after the event. I would like to introduce our presenter today. It's Rudy Balasabas, who is a solution specialist on our Dynamics 365 Business Central team here at Encore. So Rudy, I'll pass it over to you.
Great, thanks Tess. Hi everyone, my name is Rudy Balasabas. As Tess mentioned, I'm on the Business Central team here. Today I'll be going over how to do GP processes in Business Central, and this is our part 2 session of this. So if I go to the next slide here, this first slide is just a review of part 1 that I went through on a previous video. And if you're interested in seeing this and you missed it, so it is recorded. So if you go to our website, you should be able to find it. These are just some other topics that I went over that you do in GP and how to do it in Business Central. So part 2 of today, the agenda of this webinar is additional processes that we got feedback from our clients on what they wanted to see. So how to process recurring and accrual entries, financial statement functionality, how to import data from Excel. And then the last two here are kind of related. So third-party product compatibility / the App Store and overview of payroll options. So I'll just go to my Business Central demo environment here. Oh, not that one. Okay, so the first process that I'm going to go over here is how to do recurring and accrual entries, or in Business Central it's called reversing entries. So to do that, you would go into your recurring general journal window. So the first type of entry I'll do is a recurring entry. So if you have an entry that you do on a monthly basis and it's always the same line items, same GL accounts that you post to, you can do a recurring entry so that it doesn't, you don't have to enter it again next month. So the most common type of recurring entry is a monthly recurring entry. So to do that, it's if you've done a general journal before, it's similar type of layout of the window, except you're going into the recurring general journal window. And the first thing you have to choose here is whether it's fixed, variable, or balance. So, sorry, I'm just going to turn off my Teams here. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is choose if it's fixed, variable, balance. These are the type of recurring methods that you would use for a recurring type of entry. And then these three here are the reversing equivalents of these first three entries. And I'll go over what these are. These are how to do your accrual entries. So you can start doing your line items here, and you can do a combination of F fixed and F variable and B balance. The most common are fixed and variable type of lines. So the difference between these two is F fixed means that the line will stay and the amount that you enter here will stay after you post it. So, so this is more if you have an entry that never changes amounts on a monthly basis. So maybe it's a rent type of entry. B variable is the posting date will react the same way. It will increment by 1 month or whatever recurring frequency you enter, but the amount will blank out. So this is more if on a monthly basis, the line items are always the same, but the amount changes on a month-to-month basis. So you can do a combination of these two. These are the most common, so I'll go over these two. So you can do all lines fixed or all lines variable or a combination of the two. So, so the first line I'll choose is F fixed, and the recurring frequency here is the more you do processes in Business Central, you'll get used to the formulas you can put here. So the most common is CM plus 1 day. So what this will do is it will post on May 1st, and then after you post it, this will increment to this will post April 1st, and then once you post it, it will increment by 1 month to May 1st, so that when you exit and then come back again in a month, this date will be ready for you to post for the next month. The other options is you can do 1 day. So this will increment by 1 day, so April 2nd. You can do week, so 2 weeks. Maybe you have a bi-weekly entry that you do. So you would post April 1st, and then after it's posted, this will change to April 15th. So the most common, I'll just do the monthly recurring. Test 1 here, and then you would choose your GL account. I'm just going to choose some random accounts here for sake of demo. Okay, so and then 10,000, and then the next line I'll choose V variable, and this will be the same here, and then expense. Okay, and then so negative numbers, if you've watched previous videos, are credits, and positives are debits. So then I'll just do one more to balance this entry. Okay, so now that entry is balanced. You always want this to be 0. So once I post this, these dates will increment by 1 month, so May 1st. And then this amount here will stay because it's fixed. And then these two amounts here will blank out to 0 because it's variable. So in the next month, maybe the breakdown is 3,000 and 7,000. Okay, so if I post this, actually let's do a preview posting first. This is always recommended just to make sure you don't have any errors. So if I post this now, looks like it froze up here. Okay, and then post, and then you'll see these dates update. Okay, so it's been successfully posted. So these dates updated, and then this amount has stayed, and then these two have blanked out. So if I exit out of here, and then let's say it's May 1st now, I would go into recurring general journal again. And then you would just enter your whatever breakdown is of the 10,000 and then post it, and then it'll increment to June 1st. Okay, so that's how to do a recurring entry. So now if you wanted to do a reversing entry, so an accrual entry, the most common is you would post to, actually you would first change, I'm just gonna work off the same entry here. So say it's a reversing entry, so let's change this to reversing fixed and reversing variable. Instead of having to create another entry, I'll just use this one. And then most likely when you're doing an accrual, you're posting to the last day of the month. So let's do that type of scenario here. Okay, so and then let's do the amount. So maybe it's 3,000 here. Okay, so what this will do is it's going to post to, actually let's do a preview posting here to show exactly what it's going to do. We want 6 lines here, so it's correct 6 lines. So the preview posting will show that we're going to post these 3 lines to April 30th. You're going to debit and credit these 2, and then immediately on May 1st, it reverses. So that's typically what an accrual entry is. But again, if you had, say, you can always play around with this. Maybe you have a 2-week recurring. So what this will do, if I do preview posting again, the dates will change a bit here. So it will post on April 30th. Oh, yeah, I would have to post it. I think it's because I already entered 1 day. Let's do here. Oh, CM plus 1 day. Okay, so if I post this, okay, so now it increments to May 1st here. And then it blanks out here, but you can always do maybe you have a 2-week bi-weekly recurring. So you can change this to 2 weeks as well. Okay, so yeah, so that's how to do a reversing regular entry. And there's these other ones that are available too, but it's not used as often, so I won't go into it in too much detail. B balance and reversing balance is more for allocations. So if if you want to post to one account, but then it allocates to multiple other accounts, you can use balance. And then these other ones here, it's quite new feature. You can do balance by dimension as well. Okay, so that's the how to do a recurring and reversing entry. So the next item I'll go over is the financial statement functionality. So in GP, you're probably used to using Management Reporter or some sort of other application to do your financial statements. The benefit with Business Central is it does have a out-of-box financial statement reporting tool, and that's the account schedules. So when you're doing account schedules, there's two areas you would be using. First is this one here under reports and analysis. And this is where you would actually run your statements. And then this one I'll go over in terms of how to create statements. So if I go here and if I want to run an income statement, so out of the box, Business Central already has some statements available. It's usually these 8 here. So your balance sheet, cash flow, income statement, and retained earnings. So in this demo, I'll go over this one here. So if I want to run an income statement, I choose that. And then the column layout, again, there's these out-of-box ones. So for income statement, I usually want net change for a given month. So let's run January 1st to January 31st. And let's preview that. So this is a very simplified income statement. Again, you can create your own statements here. So you can get creative with the different lines you can enter, but I'll go over that in more detail. You can also add more columns here. So maybe you want your net change for January, but you also want your budget column. Maybe you want a difference column as well, saying the difference between budget and actual. So that's how to actually run your statement. To modify or create new statements, you would go to the other account schedule option here. So not this one here, but this one under pages and tasks. So if I go to that income statement I just created, this is the one here, and click on it, you'll see how it's built. So this first main window is likely, if you're creating statements, this is the main window that you're going to be in and creating. So you can see each row, what makes up each row. So income and services, for example, this is the GL account that is mapped to this line. So posting accounts usually mean actual GL accounts, but you can also have formula type of lines. So this one here is doing a sum of line P001 to P008. So that's how you would build a sum type of line there. You can also do these plus formulas. So different ways to get creative with building your statement here. And then the other columns here are the row type. So net change, balance at date, or beginning balance. So these are usually more for balance sheet type statements. Net amount is the field there. Show opposite sign is if you have maybe a credit, it's usually a negative. So you want to show the opposite sign. You don't want the negative to show. And then the show column here. So different options to show the column. Yes, no, if any column not zero. Show it only when it's a positive balance or show it when it's a negative balance. And then if you scroll to the very right here, these are more formatting type of columns that you can set. And then so that's how to build your rows for your statement. To modify the columns, you would go to Process and Edit Column Layout Setup. And then let's just go to that one that I was working with. So you can see this is the one I used to run that statement earlier. So as you can see, it's just one column, but you can, as I said earlier, you can change or you can add more columns. So maybe I want a budget column, and then the entries would be budget entries. So what this means, it's going to pull from a budget that you imported into Business Central. If you're interested in how to do that, feel free to search that up, or yeah, let us know if you have any questions on how to import your budgets. And then that would be it. So, but there's other ways to create a statement. Maybe you want a statement showing all 12 months as columns. So you would just enter more columns here. So maybe this is January, February, March, April, and so on. So yeah, so you can create statements however you wish, and then these formulas here determine which month or which period it's pulling the numbers from. So for this example, I'll just leave it with budget as a new column here, and then I'll just exit, and then I'll show you when you run it, I'll just show you the new column that appears. So reports and analysis, and M income, net change, and let's do the same period. You can see I'm doing 2020 because this demo, I don't believe it has 2021 data yet. So, so let's do preview. And I don't think I have a budget imported, so it'll be 0. So you can see the budget column here. And then, as I said earlier, you can add a column here to do a formula type of column. So you would do the difference between the two. Okay, so that's how to do financial statement functionality. Kind of high level, a rushed description of the functionality, but you can get quite deep in how to create your statements here. Okay, so that is how to run your financials. The next topic is how to import data from Excel. So if I go back here, again, in GP, you might be using some sort of integration tool, such as Integration Manager or maybe Smart Connect. So the purpose usually for when you're importing or doing some sort of integration is you have high volume of data that you want to import into Business Central. So maybe you have a high volume of new customers or 100-line journal entry that you want to import into Business Central, and you don't want to add it manually or enter it manually. And usually what you're importing from is an Excel sheet. So that's just one example, but maybe you have another system. But in terms of the most common, it's usually from an Excel sheet. You want to import something from Excel into Business Central. The benefit with Business Central is there is a out-of-box import tool already, and it's called Configuration Package. So if I search for configuration package, you can see these ones that I've created. There's one for importing new customers, new dimension values, a journal entry import. These are quite easy to create. So if you're interested in the full steps, there is a blog article that we did with all the steps to create a configuration package. So there's this video here that shows all the steps there. But in high levels, so once it's created, let's look at customers, for example. The first thing you would do is, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna zoom out here. You can see that what I did, I created a customer configuration package to target this table. So I want to import new customers into this table here. So the video goes over how to find this table. So the first step usually after you've created it is you want to export out the Excel template. Okay. So whenever you export out an Excel template from Business Central via configuration package, it will populate with all the records that are on that table currently. So all my customers here. So what I would do is just delete it first. And so this is ready. So this you can save in your shared directory in your folders, and then whenever you're ready to import new customers or whatever this package is doing, you would just fill this in with all your customers, all the details, and then import it into Business Central. You can see there's all these columns. So by default, I just chose all the columns, but you can specify the different columns you want to populate on this template. So maybe you don't want all these details, you just want certain fields that you want to populate. So once it's populated, you would save it. And then if I go back here, once you're ready to import it, your Excel file is all ready, you would just go back into the same exact window, click Excel, import from Excel, and choose that file, and then it will import it into this configuration package. And then the last step is you go to Process and Apply Package. And this is the step that actually imports it into your customer table, and then that's finished. Okay. So that's just one way. So so customers, dimension values. Usually the main reason you're using this tool is to import new records onto a table. So I'll just go over these other examples here. I did summarize it in Excel just for this demo here. So dimension values, so again, similar to customers, you can export out the dimension value table and then populate it in Excel. And then this is a screenshot of what it looks like after it's been imported. And then the next example is general journals. So I exported out a general journal line table, which is table 81. I populated it with these lines of a journal entry. And then this is a screenshot of the actual entry after it's been imported into Business Central. So this would be ready to post. So instead of, maybe you have 200 lines, a 200 line entry. So instead of doing it manually, you can use this tool to import the lines. And then another thing, so you can get quite creative with a configuration package. You don't necessarily have to use it for importing new records. You can use it to mass update a record or a mass update a field on a record. So for this example, I exported all the vendors and I just chose, these are required fields, so you do have to export these always. And then I chose this blocked column. So what I wanted to do with this configuration package is mass update the blocked field for all these vendors because I don't want users to pay for these vendors. Likely you'll have more records because with 6 you could just do it manually, but for demo purposes, you would likely have more records in this. And then once I imported it, it just changed that field on the vendor card. So you can do a mass update on one field or multiple fields for multiple vendors at one time. All right, so that's the configuration package tool. And again, the blog article here will show more detailed steps on how to actually find the table number and so on. Okay, so then the last two topics are quite related. So third-party product compatibility and App Store and overview of payroll options. Okay, so if I go back to Business Central here, likely you're using some sort of third-party products for GP. And with Business Central, you can do the same functionality. You can add third-party products. And how to do that is through the App Store. So you can go through the App Store through here as well, extensions, but I just went directly to the website that shows all the apps. So if you go to this website here, this will show all the apps that are available that you can download and download to your Business Central instance. So similar to how you add apps on your phone, on your mobile phone, you can add apps to Business Central. And this is the equivalent to third-party products that you can add to your Business Central. So currently, we do have, or Business Central does have over 1,400 apps that you can install, and this is growing every day. So with the popularity of Business Central, there's been popularity of creating new apps to extend the functionality of Business Central. So the great benefit of this is it truly makes your Business Central application extendable to do other types of functionality. And then let me just see here. And then the other benefit is these, similar to Business Central, which is cloud-based, these apps are managed by the ISV, and updates to the application are done automatically on the back end. So, and then they're always backed by ISVs that are able to support the product in case you have any issues or questions. They're backed by the ISV. Okay, and then so if you're and the process to install these are very simple. So within Business Central, if I go back into Business Central and go to extensions here, and if I go to, I believe it's Extension Marketplace. So this is the equivalent to that website I just showed, except it's within Business Central. So you can see that all the apps are here, and all you do is press Get Now, and then you would go through these steps to install it on your Business Central. Okay, and then one thing I wanted to show here is similar to apps on your phone. There's ones that are free, so you can add apps that are free, and then there's some that have free trial, so you can use it for say 30 days, and then it'll ask you to enter a code to use it further. And then there's also more advanced apps that aren't free, so that you have to pay for, similar to just it on the App Store or on the Apple App Store. There's some that are free and some that cost. Okay, and then we do have, it's usually consultant by consultant. We have our favorite apps. So if you're interested in kind of our top apps that we recommend, feel free to contact us as well. And what else did I want to show? Okay, so if I searched for any app here, or let me just look into one app. So barcode generator, for example, it will have all the details. So usually you would want to look at reviews just to see is it a viable product that other people have used, details and support, and then there's usually a link to the actual website from the ISV showing more details. And then in the bottom here, we'll have screenshots and more videos on the app itself. So lots of things you can review first before actually installing it on your Business Central. And if you do have a sandbox environment in Business Central, you can install it there and play it around. Maybe look at the free trial ones and see if it's a viable product and it meets your needs. Okay, and then so that's third-party product compatibility. So the next topic is kind of related. So the overview of payroll options. So within GP, I know you do have a payroll module that you can install. So Business Central doesn't have a payroll module, but that need is met by the App Store, because if you search for payroll here, there are numerous payroll applications that you can look into and use in Business Central. And then the one that one of the ones that we do support is called Primo Payday. So this does both Canadian payroll tax and then there's some videos here on the application. So it's an app you can just download and do some training on and use it right away. The benefit again with Primo and other payroll applications or apps that you can install in Business Central is it's also cloud-based, so you're always on. You can choose to get automatic updates on new versions of Primo Payday, which will happen in the background, so you wouldn't have to schedule any upgrades for your payroll application. And also with tax table updates, I know you do have to schedule that with GP. With tax table updates, Primo and some other payroll applications, apps, those tax updates happen in the background, so you wouldn't have to worry about any downtime or significant downtime to update those tax rates. And then let's see, and again, so Primo is one that we support. So so we do have consultants that can support this product. So, and I think that's most of what I wanted to share there. Let's see if there's any other topics. No, I think that's it. So I'll pass it over to Tess for any questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Rudy.
Mhm.
So if anyone has any questions, please enter them into the questions area in the control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. Rudy, we do have one that's come in already. So it says, can you add conditional formatting in financial statement design?
Conditional formatting. I think that's an Excel term. I'll have to get more details. Maybe on a separate message, just message all the details of that question, and I'll see if there is an out-of-box solution with account schedules.
Okay, that sounds good. I can share their information
Sure. Yeah.
with you,
Thanks.
Rudy, to follow up afterwards. Another question is, are there smart lists like tool in Business Central?
Yep. So if you go back to that PowerPoint, I do go over that in the part one, so smart like functionality, but I'll give a kind of overview, short overview, not too quick here, not too long. So there is no smart list functionality or smart list window that you would enter in Business Central. That smart list functionality actually resides in all the list pages. So if I go to any list page, or a list page is anything that has data in it. So customers is an example. So, and then transactional data would be your ledger entries. Actually, ledger entries would be probably better example to go over here. So if I go to vendor ledger entries, so these are all your vendor ledger entries. So in Smart List, you would have an equivalent of your purchase transaction Smart List, which has all your payables transactions. So this is an equivalent to that. And then you can do with Smart List, what you're trying to do is filter. So you would use this to filter your data. And then if you have a complicating filter, so I have posting date, department code, and you can keep going and add those filters. And if you have maybe 10 fields that you're filtering on and you don't want to enter that on a monthly basis, because this is something you run on a monthly basis, you can save that view so that you wouldn't have to enter it. So this is an example of a saved view that I did here. So test one, and it's these three filters that I put. And then if you wanted to export it to Excel, which is something that you would do in Smart List, you would just go to Page and open an Excel. And then the last thing is if there's other columns here that you want to pull into, you would use the personalize function. And then you would go to more and fields. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work on my demo. So let's go to general ledger entries. So this is just another list page here. Hopefully it works. Yeah, so plus field icon. So once you press plus field, this side will populate with other columns you can pull in. So department code, maybe you want to pull that in and then do a filter on that. And again, this filter exporting to Excel resides in all the types of list pages that you can see in Business Central.
Awesome. Part of that question was also wondering about batch processing like in GP.
Batch processing in GP. Yeah, so I can't, I'll try to replicate that, but so if you go to general journal, let's see here. Yeah, so this is an example. So of when you're doing a journal entry, you can change your view to look like this, where it's more what you're used to in GP. So you have your debit and credit columns here and all your lines, and you can enter a batch and then create your entries. So once you enter this entry, you can go to the next one and create another entry, and then you can post this batch together.
Okay, thank you. A follow-up to the conditional formatting question was about highlighting negative variances
Highlighting
in
negative variances.
in the financial statement
Right,
design.
yeah, I think I know what you're talking about there. Um, let's see what the formatting here is. There might be, I just don't know out of the top of my head here. likely have to do something with the column layout setup, because there's these comparison date formula and formulas that you can do. But yeah, I'll look into that. I think it's more, it really helps getting clearer detail of that question. So yeah, I'll look into it and get back to you.
Awesome. The next question is, can you show a bit about budget uploads?
Yep. So when you're doing a budget, I'll just do it quickly here. You're likely doing a GL budget. So you want to enter budget information for GL accounts for a certain for a time period. So it looks like I have one here. So what you would do is, so this is a budget showing all the amounts for each GL account for each period. You can change this to however you want, but usually you're trying to do the full year. And then you can add the numbers manually, but you can also budget from Excel. So if I go to budget and export to Excel, let's see here. Let's do period 1 month and press OK. Oh, haven't worked with this demo environment for a while, so let's do 12 periods. Does that work? There we go. Okay, so it exports to Excel. Just wait for it to load up here. So it will have all the columns for each month, and then you can enter your amounts as you wish here. So, and then similar to GP, you can import it into Business Central. So the step there would be, once your budget is all finalized and approved, you would go into here again and go to budget and import from Excel. And then this will, Business Central will know that this is your current year budget. And then when you run financials, it will know to pull from this budget.
Awesome. Thank you, Rudy. That's all the questions that have come in. So if you could go back to the PowerPoint, and I'll just wrap up here. So we just have some upcoming webinars that I wanted to highlight on this slide. So I'm going to put a few links in the chat, and you can access these events or these webinars in our events page and register there if they interest you. And if you could go to the next slide there, Rudy. Awesome. So just another reminder that if you'd like to sign up for regular emails from Encore, that link is also in the chat. And I just put a link for Encore Care if you're interested in learning more about our support and our Encore Care Unlimited. So that's all we have for today. Thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you, Rudy, for sharing that information with us, and have a great rest of your day, everyone.